to start. So as always, you have the option to sit with your knees bent, feet on the ground if you have tight hips, or if you want, you can bring one heel in towards your groin and then the other heel out in front of it. Definitely take a look at which heel is closest to your body, because that's going to matter in a few moments. When you're ready, we'll just start with our seated sun breaths. Inhale, lift up all the way, palms meet at the top. Exhale, let it go. Take about 3 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. So when you exhale and you're pushing out, I want you to imagine like you're pushing like a big wall away. So maybe like an active press. Inhale, lift. As you exhale, you're just going to take your twist over to the right. Your right hand can kind of come behind you, but then I want you to plant your left hand down to the ground and just sort of walk both your hands out to the right. So the further to the right you go, the more of a stretch you're going to feel on the left outer hip. So you'll know you're at your edge when your left hip and your left butt kind of leave the ground. So you want to make sure that you're staying nice and squared. So just because you can reach all the way over, it means you lift up like this. That's not really the point of the stretch. The point of the stretch is to keep the body nice and symmetrical. Take another inhale. As you exhale, I want you just to walk your fingertips forward. Now, same idea. If I crawl all the way forward, I end up in my hands and knees, but I want you to keep your butt planted on the ground. So your furthest point is only up until your butt starts to leave the ground. So you should feel the stretch in your lower back now. So lower back and hips are really, really connected. One often sets off the other. One more inhale. As you exhale, gently walk your hands back. And now this time you're going to bring your fingertips behind you and just start to open up the chest. So a little bit of a shoulder stretch here too. So if this is enough, absolutely stay like this. If you feel like you can tolerate more, plant your palms flat, start to lift your hips up, gaze will shift up to the ceiling. So now you're giving your front of the hip flexor a big stretch here. So at this point, if you are lifting up, butt is off of the ground or off of your supporting structure. If it feels comfortable or if a staircase is not on your way, feel free to tip your head back. One more inhale. As you exhale, gently come back to seated. Let's roll back to neutral now. Before we make that switch, look at what heel is in front and look at what heel is closest to your groin. You're going to gently release, give it a little shake, and then let's switch. So now I'm going to bring my left heel all the way in toward my groin and then my right heel out in front of it. And that is not my natural go-to. It feels super, super awkward. If you can tell, my right knee is like way off the ground because my right hip is always my bad hip. Inhale, lift up all the way, palms meet at the top. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Take 2 more. Inhale, reach. As you exhale, big active press, like you're pushing a wall away. Last time, inhale. As you exhale, start to take it over to the left. You're going to drop both of your hands down. Once you get down, walk your fingertips as far as they'll go without your hip leaving the ground. So if you notice, my mobility on this side is significantly less because I've got this real big tightness going on in my right hip here. So again, you'll only want to go as far as you can without your butt leaving the ground. And you should feel a stretch happening in the right hip this time as we twist over to the left. One more inhale. As you exhale, gently start to walk your fingertips forward into that forward fold, and then come on down as far as you can without your butt leaving the ground. And then once you get there, maybe dropping your neck so that your ears are framed by your biceps. You should feel your lower back stretch here. Take 2 more breaths. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. One more inhale. As you exhale, gently walk your hands back, and then one more time, you're going to shift your fingertips behind you. So if you're up on your fingertips and puffing your chest out is enough of a stretch for you, absolutely stay. If you want to take it a little bit further, drop your palms down to the ground, puff your chest out, lift the hips up, and then maybe drop the head back once more, getting your stretch in the front side of the hips. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. One more inhale, and then exhale. Gently let that go. Slowly shift your body weight forward, remove your supporting structure, and then let's meet in a tabletop position. In your tabletop, just going through a couple of cat-cows here. Inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the hips up toward the ceiling, arching the spine. And then exhaling, rounding, pushing your hips forward. Inhale, lift up, arch the spine, cow pose. And then exhale, round for cat pose. Take 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Last one, inhale. And then exhale. From here, you're gonna do like a half little push-up, make your way down to your belly for a quick shoulder stretch. So arms are gonna come out into a T position. We're really form specific here. We're gonna start on the right side. So take a look out to the right, your hand and your shoulder are in one straight line. Take your left hand underneath your face. You're going to keep your right leg straight as you push your body all the way over to the right. My hand is not moved, it's still in that T shape. I'm gonna take my left foot, plant it behind my right leg. That intensifies the stretch. And one step further you can go. If this is enough, I encourage you to keep your left hand underneath your face. If you want more, take your left arm around for your lower back, go for that half bind. So what we're doing is we're externally rotating the right shoulder and the left shoulder away from the body. Sometimes in the gym, we've done this before using the wall, and we make like those clock shapes with our arms. It's the exact same stretch, except this is a little bit more intense since we're using all of our body weight to control the intensity of the stretch. Take another inhale. As you exhale, you're going to gently walk your left hand back to the mat. Bring your left leg back to the mat, roll back to your belly. Hands underneath the shoulders, push yourselves up and back, take a child's pose. We're gonna do that again. Gently shift forward to your tabletop, lower down through that half push-up onto your stomach. So just make sure you have enough room. Left arm will now come out into your T shape, right hand underneath your chest. You're gonna keep your left arm straight, push yourselves all the way over to the left. So now my left leg is my bottom leg and it stays long. I'm gonna plant my right knee behind, my right foot is planted behind my left leg. And if this is enough, I encourage you to stay. You can use this right hand as a lot of support here. If this is really intense, consider shifting some of your body weight into that right hand to take the load off the left shoulder. If you want to intensify the stretch, wrap your right arm around to the lower back. So wrapping the right arm around removes that added support and puts more weight into the left shoulder. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, gently walk that right hand back. Carefully come on off of the shoulder. Hands underneath. Push yourselves up and back. Take your child's pose. In your child's pose, glue your hips to your heels. Forehead comes to the mat. And if your forehead doesn't comfortably come to the mat, yeah, you can put a supporting structure underneath it, whether it's your block or your book, your blanket. Keep your hips glued to your heels and then just keep creeping your fingertips as far forward as you can, feeling some length in the shoulders. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, gently shift forward to your tabletop, curl your toes into the mat, push yourselves up and back, find your first downward facing dog in the morning. So if down dog is still something new to you, plank is always a great little check-in point. If you shift your body forward, you should not have to move your hands or your feet. You should end up in a perfect plank pose and then come on back to downward facing dog. So we use plank because it ends up that there's about a leg's distance in between your hands and your feet when we want to be in downward facing dog. So just checking in with plank is a good way to see where you're at with your down dog. Bend your knees if you need that relief in the hamstring. You can bicycle them out. Nod your head yes. Shake it no. Take 1 more inhale, fill up. As you exhale, bend your knees deeply, gaze comes forward. Inhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Hands into the shins, flatten out the back. And then exhale, lower down. Press firmly to the big toes. Inhale, slowly roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. So coming to the top of your mat just for your sun breaths. Inhale, lift up, palms near the top. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, press your hands into your shins, flatten out the back. Exhale, lower. Press firmly through the feet. Inhale, roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. We're coming down twice more. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Inhale, flatten out the back, hands to shins. Exhale, lower down. This time, hold on to opposite elbows here in your ragdoll position. So ragdoll is an intense stretch. So if you need that relief, bend your knees. If you look at me from a side view, you can even have your knees and your chest connected to each other. You can have that much of a connection here. Drop your head so that you're at least looking in between your feet, but ideally at the wall behind you. Nod your head, yes. Shake it, no. Wrap your hands around your waist, give it a squeeze. Inhale, come on up to stand. We're coming down one more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, hands to shins. As you exhale, make a peace sign with your fingers. Take your peace sign fingers, wrap them around your big toes. If your big toes are far away, bend your knees till you get there. Once you make that connection, inhale, lift your hips a little bit higher, even if it's a millimeter. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. So you're getting that nice big lower back stretch as well as your hamstring stretch. Take 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. As you exhale, wrap your hands around your waist, give it a squeeze. Inhale, come on up to stand. Very good. So come to the top of your mat. Moving through a couple of sun salutations just to keep warming up here. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, lower. Inhale, hands to shins, flatten out the back. As you exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back to plank pose. We'll do a modified one for the first. Drop your knees down, shift your chest past your hands, hug the elbows in, lower down to that half push up. Uncurl the toes, lift the chest up, baby cobra pose. And then shift your body weight over your knees, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Again, taking whatever movements you need to settle into your downward facing dog. Your palms are flat here. Never be on your knuckles. That puts unnecessary tension in the hands and especially the wrists. If you find that your wrists are super sensitive, really try to focus in on pressing in between the thumb and the index finger section of the hand. That's the strongest part of your hand and it should give some relief. Head is in between your arms. Ideally, your biceps are framing your ears, so that means your gaze is at the wall behind you, but ideally at your belly button, if the neck can tolerate it. Take another inhale, fill up all the way. As you exhale, bend your knees deeply, look forward, tippy toe your feet up to your hands. Hands to shins, flatten out the back. Exhale, lower down. Press firmly through the big toes. Inhale, slowly roll up, 1 vertebrae at a time. Coming down again, inhale, lift, and then exhale, lower. Inhale, hands to shins, flatten out the back. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Moving through a more traditional vinyasa this time. Shift your body weight forward, hug the elbows in, lower all the way down to the bottom of a push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. So just the hands, the tops of the feet on the mat, gaze is up to the ceiling. Roll over the toes, downward facing dog. We're going to add a little bit on here to this vinyasa, reintroducing warrior one. You're going to reach your right toes up for the ceiling. Use your exhale on your core strength to bring your right foot in between your hands. You're going to spin your left heel back. So your footing in warrior one is a little different than warrior two. We want a heel to heel connection here. Right heel is tracking in front of the left heel. And then you're going to inhale, lift your upper body up. So warrior one in and of itself is a pretty big hip stretch. You should feel it in your back hip, your left hip. You're shifting your torso forward, tracking your right knee on top of your right ankle, and that movement of bringing the torso forward is what sort of intensifies that hip stretch. One more inhale. Exhale, drop the hands, spin back on the left toes, step your right foot back to meet your left. Optional vinyasa or come to downward facing dog. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Let's try it on the other side. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, and core strength to bring your left foot in between your hands. Spin the right heel back. Take a look at your heels. Heel to heel alignment. And then inhale, lift up for your warrior one. So again, you don't want to have the hips kind of facing out to the right. You want to rotate your torso toward the front of your mat. Feel the stretch now in the right hip. Bend deeply into that left knee. Inhale, lift up a little higher. As you exhale, hands come to frame that left foot. Step your left foot back to meet your right and plank. Lower through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good, I'll leave you here in down dog for about 5 breaths. If you need a child's pose, please feel free to take it. So we reintroduced Warrior 1. We're going to review Warrior 2 in this next sequence. About 3 more breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. If you came to child's pose, please make your way back to downward facing dog. And then when you're all ready, inhale, right toes up for the ceiling again. Exhale and core momentum to bring your right foot in between your hands. Now this time spin down on the left heel. You're going to want to kind of shift your right foot toward the middle of your mat this time. Take a look back at the left foot. Now we want heel to arch alignment. That's the difference between Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. And then when you're going to cartwheel your hands all the way up and open. So the knee never changes in your warrior legs. We always want the right knee on top of the ankle here. You're pressing out through the left pinky toe edge of your foot, and your arms are in a T shape as if you're pushing walls away like we did seated before. So this time we are adding that hip stretch now to the inside of the right leg. So it's a little bit more on the front leg this time than it is in the back leg. One more inhale. As you exhale, cartwheel the hands down, spin back on the left toes, step your right foot back to meet your left, lower down or come to downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, left foot in between the hands. Spin back on the right foot. Now kind of shimmy your left heel to the middle of your mat. You want the heel to arch alignment. And then cartwheel up and open to your Warrior 2. Same idea, get that left knee on top of your left ankle. And then arms come out to that really big active T shape, like you're pushing a wall away. 2 more breaths here. 1 more inhale. And then exhale. Hands frame the front foot, spin back on the right toes. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Lower through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, or child's pose if you need it. The more intense the work becomes, the deeper your breath should be to help you regulate everything. You're shifting your chest back towards your thighs. It should feel like your shoulders are lifting up and your spine is sinking down. So the more you press your chest towards your thighs, the bigger of a shoulder stretch you'll get here in downward dog. If you came to child's pose, please make your way back up to a down dog. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale right toes up to the ceiling. Use your exhale and some momentum to bring the right foot in between the hands. We're coming into low lunge, so I want you to shimmy your back leg as far back as you can. If you have sensitive knees, now's a really good time to bring your blanket underneath your left knee. You're going to drop the left knee down, uncurl the toes, come on up into your low lunge or your crescent lunge. That right knee to right ankle alignment never changes here. And your torso is nice and straight here. So there's a nice long line of energy from the crown of your head through the sternum down to the torso. You want to be straight. You don't really want a back bend here. You're shifting your body weight forward, and then the back bend really comes from the shoulders. So if it feels comfortable, maybe just tip your head up and back, look for the ceiling. Take 2 more breaths here. So here in your low lunge, you're definitely getting a hip stretch. You should feel a little bit of a pinch in the right hip and a lot of length happening in the left hip. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, hands frame the front foot. Step your right foot back to meet your left, and let's just come back to a downward facing dog. Notice how every down dog we do, they should start to feel a little bit better each time. Inhale, left toes up for the ceiling. Exhale and some momentum to bring your left foot forward. Shimmy your right leg back as far as you can get it, then drop the right knee down, uncurl the toes, come on up into the fingertips, and then inhale, lift up for your low lunge. So same idea here, we want to make sure the torso down to the tailbone is nice and straight, and then if you're going for that added shoulder or back bend, it's just a lift from the shoulders and from the chest. Maybe your gaze lifts up to the ceiling. And by the way, gaze up to the ceiling really works on your balance and your stability here. Maybe you want to try closing your eyes. Notice how your shape changes. Maybe you sway a little bit, that's completely okay. If you close your eyes, open them again. Inhale, exhale, hands frame the front foot. Tuck your right toes back into the mat, left foot back to meet your right. Move through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. If you need a child's pose, go ahead and take it. We're going to be in this for about 5 breaths, just to come back to neutral. Your breath should be nostril at this point, in and out through the nose. We may want a block for the next pose, so I encourage you just to take a moment to make sure your block or your supporting structure is at the top of your mat. And then I'm actually just going to switch my view for you all. So if you came down to a child's pose, please make your way up to a downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, inhale, right toes up for the ceiling. Exhale, and some momentum to bring your right foot in between your hands. Spin the left heel back. So we're going for that heel to heel alignment first. And then you're going to inhale, lift up, warrior one. Shimmy your right foot over so we get that heel to arch alignment. Open the arms up for warrior two. Good. So from your warrior two, you are going to place your forearm on your thigh and then reach your left fingertips all the way up and over. Option to stay just like this, or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring your hand underneath your block, getting into that side angle position. Your block has a couple of different heights, so if you need to adjust them, feel free to do so. 2 more breaths here. 1 more inhale. Exhale out all the way, and then you're going to use your core strength and your inhale to rise back up to warrior two. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Step it back to your plank pose. Move through your vinyasa or come to downward facing dog. I'm just going to shift my position again. And then from downward facing dog, let's move to the other side. Inhale, left toes up for the ceiling. Exhale, left foot in between the hands. Spin back on the right foot. Check to make sure you've got that heel to heel connection. And then lift up for warrior one. Shimmy your left foot over to the middle of your mat, somewhere now in that heel to arch alignment. Heel open to warrior two. From your warrior two, drop your forearm to your thigh. Reach your right fingertips all the way up and over, finding that side angle pose. So if you're comfortable here with your forearm on your thigh, stay. If you want more of a stretch, maybe drop your left hand to your block. The block should be on the outside of your foot, keeping that deep bend, that knee to ankle alignment here. Take 2 more breaths. 1 more inhale. Exhale out all the way, and then use your inhale to rise back up to your warrior two. Hold for an exhale. Inhale, fill up, reach a little bit further, and then exhale, cartwheel your hands down, spin back on the right foot, step your left foot back to meet your right, move through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog, and then exhale, downward facing dog. We've got 1 more standing sequence, then we're back on our backs for the rest of class. When you're ready, inhale, right toes up for the ceiling. We're just adding on. Exhale, right foot in between the hands. Spin back on the left foot. You're going to cartwheel open to warrior two. Good. You guys hold warrior two. I'm just going to switch my legs for you just so you can see. So right foot is forward, left foot is back, and I realize I totally messed that up on the other side. You never want to be in a car with me. Right knee is above the ankle. Have your block on standby. Your block is going to be on the inside of your foot now. From your warrior two, straighten your leg. Inhale, reach your right fingertips as far forward as you can. Exhale, maybe drop your hand to your block. Here we are in triangle pose. So your triangle pose is giving a stretch on the right inside of your hip. You should feel it right here on the inner thigh. Ideally, your arms are in a T-shaped position here, so it gives you that really big shoulder stretch. If your block is far away, you can absolutely hold on to the shin or hold on to the thigh here, just never ever on your knee. If your block is there and it's too much support, feel free to adjust the height of it or to ditch it completely. The fullest expression of this pose would be to bring your P10 fingers to your big toe. One more inhale. Exhale out all the way, and then you're going to use your inhale and your core strength to come on back up. Exhale down to your warrior two. You're going to cartwheel your hands to frame the front foot. Spin back on the left toes. Right foot comes back to meet your left. You're in plank. And just come on back to a downward facing dog. From your down dog, getting ready for the other side. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, left foot in between the hands. Spin back on the right foot. Remember we want that heel to arch alignment for warrior two. Cartwheel open, warrior two. You're going to make sure your block is on the inside of your left foot this time in case you need it. Straighten your front leg as much as possible. Inhale, reach your fingertips as far forward as you can. And then you're going to drop your left hand down to your supporting structure. So remember, if your structure is not enough support, you're welcome to grab onto your shin or your thigh, just never on your knee. And then once you've settled into the pose, try to find that alignment in the shoulders. We want a direct line from the right middle fingernail all the way down to the left. Nice T shape here. And you should feel the hip stretch on the left inside of your hip. 2 more breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. 1 more inhale. Exhale out all the way. Draw your belly button in tight towards your spine. Create that stability. And then inhale, lift back up. Exhale back to warrior two. Inhale, reach 1 more time. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Spin back on the right toes. Left foot comes back to meet the right. This is the last vinyasa of the day. Maybe make it count. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Last downward facing dog of the morning. This might be like our 8th or 10th one at this point, so definitely just giving yourselves a quick body scan. Noticing how it feels in comparison to the first one we did. You're pushing your chest back towards your thighs, opening up the shoulders. Take 1 more inhale, fill up. As you exhale, drop down to your knees, take a child's pose. Ideally, your forehead comes to the mat, but if that's not quite comfortable, feel free to bring a prop underneath your head. Keeping your hips glued to your heels and walking your fingertips as far forward as you can. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, walk your hands back towards your knees, and you're going to just kind of move toward the top of your mat so that you can lie down and have space behind you. What you're going to do is bring your block with you. We're moving into a couple of postures on the back just to wrap up class. So first we're going to start with a bridge pose. Lie down all the way on your back, and the first bridge we do is going to be a supported one. So you're going to want to walk your heels all the way in towards your butt, and if you reach your fingertips forward and just kind of shimmy side to side, you should be able to grab both of your heels. That means your ankles are below your knees. That's where we want to be. Grab your prop. Inhale, lift the hips up. Send your prop right underneath your tailbone. So all of your body weight here is resting on this prop. It's a really nice release for the lower back. It also continues to open up the hips. You can hold here, or if you want to intensify the stretch, straighten your legs out. If you feel like a sharp pinch, you'll know right away if this variation is not for you. If you're in any kind of pain, please come back to your regular bridge pose with the block underneath you. And then if you're feeling okay and you want to take it a step further, you can reach your arms up over your head. And what we end up doing is giving ourselves a really nice supported back bend here. You're stretching out all your abdominal organs. You're opening up the chest, clearing out the airway. Last 2 breaths. One more inhale. Exhale out all the way. You're going to bring your hands back to either side of your hips. You're going to bend your knees, plant your feet, lift your hips up, remove the block, and then lower your hips back down, hugging your knees in towards your chest, giving yourselves a nice big squeeze. So hugging your knees in towards your chest, you should feel a little bit of a pinch in the hips. We're going to move on to pigeon pose on our backs. So one more time, you're going to plant the feet down, starting with the right side. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, creating that figure 4 shape. So depending upon how you're feeling, this might be more than enough to stretch, and that's perfectly okay. If you want more of a stretch, you can go for the thread the needle variation. So you'll take your right fingers in between that window of your legs, interlace your fingers behind the left hamstring. So drawing your legs closer to your face like this intensifies the stretch. You might feel like a little bit of a zapping sensation in your right glute area, but you're definitely getting the stretch in the right hip. And the final variation would be to point your left toes up for the ceiling. All options, not mandatory. So we worked on pigeon pose a couple of weeks ago. If you're feeling really, really tight one day, or maybe you desperately need a hip stretch, but you're not really warm enough to go into that full pigeon pose, this is a great variation. You get the exact same benefit of the stretch. If you are a runner or a cyclist, or if you're spending a lot of time seated at your desk because you're working from home or it's final season, this is a great stretch to do in between. Take another inhale. As you exhale, you're going to plant the left foot down if you brought it up. Release your thread the needle, but hold the cross of your legs. You're now going to bring your right thigh over your left, so like you're crossing your legs. You're going to bring your knees to your chest, lift your head up for a moment, grab opposite feet, and you're pulling your heels towards your hips. So this is like, it's called cow face pose. So pulling opposite heels to opposite hips gives you that big front hip stretch. Make sure that your head is on the ground here. Take 2 more breaths. Inhale, fill up. Exhale out. One more inhale. As you exhale, release your feet, grab your right knee. Your right knee will come into your chest. Your left leg will extend long to the top of your mat. Take your left hand, place it on top of your right knee. Your right arm will come out into a T shape. You're going to guide your right knee all the way over to the left, getting that big shoulder, side body, and outer hip stretch here. Just taking it to your twist. If your right knee made it to the floor, that might have meant that your right shoulder totally lifted up off the floor, but that's okay because that's really where you want to feel the stretch. And I find sometimes the further your shoulder is away from the floor, the deeper the stretch becomes. Take another inhale, fill up. Exhale out all the way, and then come on back to neutral. We're going to use a bridge pose to release that. So we've got 2 more bridges left in class. As always, you have the option to take the supported bridge pose. The next one that I'm going to teach is more traditional. So walk your feet toward your butt. Get that knee to ankle alignment. Just shimmy side to side. Make sure you can reach your heels. And then you're going to inhale. Just lift your hips up here. Hands are going to stay along either side of your hip. So your neck is absolutely not moving here. Your gaze is up toward the ceiling. We never want to move the neck in bridge pose. That's a safety thing. You can come on to the very tips of your shoulders, though, so that your mid-back is off of the ground. It's going to give you a really nice release on the lower back. One more inhale, fill up. And then exhale, drop the hips down to the ground. So let's go for the left side. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh, creating that figure 4 shape. Stay here if this is enough. If you want more, thread the needle. Take your left fingers in between that window of your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your right hamstring. If this is enough, stay. If you want more, point your right toes up for the ceiling. So getting the exact same stretch, just on the opposite side. The more intense the stretch becomes, the deeper your breath should be. Train your body to use your breath to relieve that stress and tension. In through the nose and out through the nose. One more inhale. As you exhale, you're going to guide your right foot back to the floor. Release that interlaced grip. You're going to shift your left knee over your right so that your legs are crossed. Bring your knees into your chest. Lift your head up for a moment. Opposite hands grab opposite ankles or feet, and then drop your head back to the ground. You should feel that really juicy outer hip stretch happening in the left side, maybe even a little bit of glute as well. 3 more breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Inhale, fill up. Exhale out. 1 more inhale. As you exhale, gently release the feet. You're gonna hug your left knee into your chest. Right leg will go long for the top of your mat. Your right hand will take your left knee and it's gonna guide your left knee all the way over to the right. Ideally, bringing that left knee to tap the ground. If it's far away, you can take one of your props actually and place your prop underneath your knee if you need it. And then you're gonna peel the left shoulder open to the left here. If you are running out of space like I am and extending your arm out to that T shape doesn't work, you can always bring it to like a goalpost shape or a letter U. And then at that point, if you're going for the goalpost shape, make sure your fingertips are reaching for the ground, and that's gonna really open the shoulder up. In addition to the shoulder, you're getting that side body stretch and your outer left hip. 1 more inhale. Exhale out all the way, and then use your inhale to come on back up. And 1 more time, we're gonna go for a bridge pose. Your choice, you can do your supported bridge, your traditional bridge. I'm gonna demo the traditional bridge 1 more time, so walk your feet all the way in towards your butt. Do that little shimmy check, make sure you can reach your heels, and then inhale, lift the hips up. You can stay just like this, or maybe you wanna add that shoulder stretch with an interlaced grip. What you'll do then is interlace your fingers underneath your tailbone, and then just kind of rock your body side to side so that you end up rolling your shoulder blades back. So at this point, shoulder blades should almost be kissing each other. Chest is puffing up, airway is opening, and you're lifting your hips up nice and high. So just another reminder, you are not moving your neck here. That's a safety thing. Gaze should be up toward the ceiling at all times in this pose. Wherever you went, we're here for about 3 more breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Inhale, fill up. Exhale out. Take 1 more inhale. As you exhale, if you join me in this interlaced grip, slowly release the fingers, unwind the shoulders. If you have a prop underneath your tailbone, remove it now. Everybody gently lower your back down to the mat and hug your knees in towards your chest. 1 more time, give yourselves a nice big squeeze. Final pose, just taking a quick happy baby to wrap up the hips. You're gonna stamp your feet on toward the ceiling and try to grab the outer edges of your feet, drawing your knees in towards your armpits like a ball and socket. You should feel the lower back really ground toward the ground, and a little bit of a hip stretch here. Maybe swaying side to side. You can play around, straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Take another inhale. As you exhale, carefully let this go, and then lower your body down into your Shavasana. So lying down completely flat on your back, letting your toes splay out to either side of your mat, releasing any tiny movements, any last little thoughts, and just allowing yourselves to be completely still for a few moments. Your only job is just to breathe to my count. Try to maintain that nostril breath. Take an inhale through your nose. Exhale out through your nose. Inhale, fill up. Exhale out. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Take 2 more breaths on your own, breathing to your own count. If you become distracted by thoughts, sounds, or plans happening around you, begin breathing and counting again. Just reset. Taking a moment to notice the sense of peace and stillness that you can create for yourselves. and how all it takes is just for you to be more aware of your breath. Know that this is a really useful tool available to you off your yoga mat and in real life, anytime, all day, every day. Start to come back to a more natural breath. Bring some tiny movements to your fingers and to your toes. You can reach your arms up overhead and point your toes away, finding a nice long body stretch. And then one more time, hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourselves a big squeeze. Gently rock side to side. And then you're going to reach your right arm over your head and carefully roll all the way over to your right side, taking a pause, giving yourselves a second to adjust. And then when you feel okay, pressing yourselves back up to a comfortable seated position. And you are all done today, everybody. Thank you.